how do I balance all of these responsibilities while having a social life here? Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lena and welcome to part 2 of the Pre-Med at Emory series. So in the last video, I talked about research opportunities, the curriculum, as well as the clinical experiences I had. In this video, I'll talk about the campus resources, what the community is like in general, and also some of the volunteer, social justice, and community activism programs and activities. Trust me, if even you don't find opportunities to serve, the opportunities to serve will find you here. I'll just be talking about the few volunteering activities and also organizations that I joined here. The first one is called Compassionate Youth, also known as Siqing International Organization, originating from Taiwan, that has a chapter here at Emory. I really found my connection to the spiritual aspect of serving other people and supporting other people. So through this organization, I volunteered at the Emory Autism Program, Trees Atlanta, where you plant trees around the neighborhood, the Atlanta Community Food Bank, and Senior Rainbow Adult Center, where we brought out performances to the elderlies, had amazing conversations with them, and taught them how to use different technology services. It was also through this organization that I participated in a few disaster relief for Hurricane Matthew and Hurricane Michael in collaboration with Red Cross, as well as gathering donations and donating them to people in need. And the social justice program that was pretty life-changing for me was called Crossroads. It was a pre-orientation program where the first year students, prior to coming onto campus for orientation, participated in this 3-day retreat where we talked about our racial identities, also the intersectionalities of our identities. The most memorable part of that retreat was the privilege walk. We stood in a line, and depending on the narration of different statements, we either moved forward one step or moved backward one step. We realized we started out very differently in terms of socioeconomic backgrounds, racial backgrounds, and racial identities. So that was a very moving experience for me and got me really thinking about what privileges I have and how could I utilize my privileges to advocate for other people. There's also tons of tutoring opportunities where you could participate in the refugee after school program to tutor English as a second language to people. There's the graduation generation where you go to high schools and tutor the high school kids in different subjects. There's also Emory Reads where you could get paid to tutor middle school and high school students. And one of the most important organizations in our Emory community is Volunteer Emory. They offer weekly service trips and also alternative break trips during spring break or 3-day weekend to go to different places around Atlanta to serve the community. There's also Emory Cares Day offered by Volunteer Emory, where a lot of students, especially first and second year students, sign up to participate in a community service project during that day. And it's a great way to make new friends and learn more about the Atlanta community. I personally participated in the alternative break trip during a 3-day weekend, and I went to Clarkson, Georgia, and volunteered at a refugee clinic there for 3 days. And we also went to different organizations supporting refugee. And during my 4th year, I volunteered to become an alternative spring break trip leader with a specific focus on refugee healthcare. So I partnered up with another student who was also interested in this area to plan out this trip. Volunteer Emory provided us with a lot of supports. We chose the destination as Nashville, Tennessee. We contacted the nonprofit organizations that work with refugee and asked if we could volunteer over there during our alternative spring break trip. We then had to plan out our schedules, recruit volunteers to participate, and the most exciting part was to get all of the food, cook our own meals, contact the different churches, and see if they could offer us free housing. Although it was a lot of planning, it was really fun at the end. We got to visit some of the touristy areas during our time off of volunteering, and also got to know the refugee population in Nashville and some of the supports that are provided to the community there. So those are the few highlights of the organizations and activities that I participated in terms of volunteering and social justice. There's always service projects that will fit your interest here, most likely. If not, you could always come up with your own organization. That's what I did during my last year of college. So it was an organization where my peers and I first started out teaching two-step CPR to the Atlanta community, and then it evolved into an organization where we wanted to improve the healthcare literacy and emergency medicine in general of the underserved populations. I find them pretty abundant. I'm not sure how it is compared to other schools. There is the pre-health mentoring office where there are peer mentors, walk-in appointments to help you navigate resources, courses, and also tips on applying to different health-related schools, including dental schools, med schools, physician assistant schools, and so on and so forth. They also offer pre-health mandatory check-ins to make sure that you are taking the right classes, you're good with your GPA, you're participating in some of the relevant activities for applying to these graduate programs. And they help you decide on the next steps to take during your undergraduate career. The pre-health mentoring office is going to compile your letters of recommendations for you to send it out to the graduate school program or medical school program that you're applying to. You just have to tell them who is going to write your letters of recommendation. They also offer it to the alumni who have graduated within 2 years. There's the Career Center, which helps you with the mock interviews, revising your CVs for revision of personal statements, and are also open to alumni. And lastly, as I mentioned in part 1, there's the Office of Undergraduate Resources, where they offer peer tutoring as well as teacher assistant tutoring group sessions for all of your classes. I find this also most important is the community here, the pre-med community here. I find it in general more collaborative than competitive. Everybody is still trying to help each other out despite the competitive nature of going into a medical school program. So that being said, there's really no stereotypical pre-med here at Emory. People all have different interests. Although you are taking similar classes, people are engaged in different organizations and activities. Sports is one of them. There's different arts clubs, ethnic-based clubs, and religion-based clubs, so it's a pretty diverse community. CDC, Center of Disease Control's the National Yerkes Primate Research Center that's here. I know some of the undergrads doing research over there. The Carter Center, where people do internships there in terms of health communications. I personally used one of my semester of work study to do a health communications office job over there at the Carter Center. I think this community really helped me grow a lot, both spiritually as well as professionally, to prepare me for medical school. I found my values in service and community. On the other side, there might be too many opportunities when you don't know what you want yet. These choices might be very overwhelming, and sometimes as pre-meds, you really want to do everything because you want to get that research and clinical experiences. And if I were to repeat my undergrad here, I would definitely try to narrow it down at the beginning and do my research on what are the clubs that they offer here, what are some of the research programs that I want to participate in, and how do I balance all of these responsibilities while having a social life here. Thank you all for watching, and please refer to my first video if you're interested in the curriculum, research, and clinical experiences. Please leave any questions or comments that you have about Emory, about being pre-med in general, down below, and I'll try my best to reply to your comments and questions. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and follow along in this medical school series. I will see you next time.